The American founders invoked our Creator 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. 4 times. How times have changed, but you know what? Now they're changing back again. Just remember that.
Donald Trump became the first sitting president to address the Values Voter Summit, an annual gathering of conservative leaders, just after undermining health care access for millions of Americans. Among the other speakers, Alabama Senate candidate and former Judge Roy Moore. He became a darling of the Christian right for once refusing to remove a 10 Commandments monument from his courthouse. But you may not know that in 2004, Moore also helped to defeat, get this, a bipartisan effort to eliminate sections of the Alabama Constitution mandating school segregation and poll taxes. Joining me now to discuss all of this, Bishop William Barber of Repairers of the Breach. And Bishop Barber, I want to just on that last point of Judge Roy Moore, it is interesting. He is a darling of the Christian right, but reading this article this week about how he once stood steadfast against removing segregation and poll taxes from the Alabama Constitution, and yet he fits in fine. Why is that?
Well, I tell you, Joy, I just can't call it Christian right. It's so wrong. It's not Christian. You know, gun-waving politicians that support segregation is not Christian. It's crazy. And people are somehow being fooled. And it's time really for there to be a major challenge to this kind of public heresy that we see going on that is so counter the real values of Christianity.
I mean, when you see it, you know, we're looking at pictures of him waving his tiny pistol around. You know, at this Values Voters Summit, there's a flyer that is being circulated, an anti-gay flyer that says the health hazards of homosexuality, which if we could show that. They're handing out things like bumper stickers. I don't believe the liberal media. I mean, the stuff that they're distributing there, it feels so counter to the core message of love in the Christian Bible that it's hard for me to believe that they read that Bible and they get that out of it.
Well, actually, from Jeremiah 22 to Jesus in Matthew 25, Christian values for nations and political leaders has to do with love and justice, equality, stopping exploitation of the vulnerable, caring for the poor, caring for children, welcoming immigrants, helping the sick, and loving all. And by these standards, the so-called Value Summit is not about Judeo-Christian values, it's not about Christianity, but the values of a heretical extremism funded by a whole lot of money perpetrating a fraud on the American people. Their values are cash and not Christ, greed and not grace. And much of this has been documented, particularly in books like One Nation Under God by Princeton scholar Kevin Cruz. And what the president did, Joy, was irreligious. It is an anathema to Christian values. He boasted about taking health care. That's not Christian. He boasted about taking subsidies for poor people. That is not Christian. He boasted about Merry Christmas while pushing policies that would hurt the Mary, Jesus, and Joseph of Christmas who were poor. He did not even quote the whole allegiance. He said one nation under God. He forgot indivisible, or deliberately didn't quote it, with just liberty and justice for all. He promoted arrogance. He promoted war mongering. These are not Christian values, and it's high time that we call it out. And what was even more disturbing, George, was that the leaders of the so-called Values Summit applauded. They applauded the very policies that are going to hurt their members, poor white people, and also hurt poor blacks and poor brown people, and just Americans in general. These are not Christian values, but the values of an extreme corporate oligarchy trying to use the values and claims of faith as a way to gain power. And lastly, not only what they say but is non-Christian when they attack gay people and attack Muslims, but their silence on health care, their silence on racism, their silence on voter suppression, their silence on living wages, their silence on public education, their silence on fundamental values of Christianity, again says we cannot continue to call these things Christian. It's a form of public heresy that must be challenged.
And I want to let you listen to Donald Trump just a little bit at the Values Voters Summit, and he's getting to a point that you do hear people in that movement, in that far-right movement, say a lot. This is Donald Trump.
We know that it's the family and the church, not government officials, that know best how to create strong and loving communities. And above all else, we know this. In America, we don't worship government, we worship God.
You know, that argument is used a lot, Bishop Barber, by people on the so-called, as you call it, so-called Christian right, to say that anyone who wants the government to help the poor is worshiping government rather than turning to institutions like the family and the church to provide for the poor and have the government not be involved in that. How does that comport with your theology?
Well, first of all, in the Bible, government is challenged. The prophets challenged the government. Jesus challenged the government. His first sermon was a challenge to economic exploitation of the poor. You cannot have a government that creates problems, that has hundreds of years of legalized slavery and segregation, that writes policies that lift up the greedy and forgives corporate crooks, and then treats people like things and corporations like people, and then say that there's no responsibility for that. We must have correction. All through the scriptures, the Bible calls for a correction to inequality that is produced by government policies. In fact, Isaiah 10 says, woe unto those who legislate evil and rob the poor of their rights. Secondly, you have no authority to claim that you want the family and the church to do all these things when the policies around tax cuts and the policies around denying health care and the policies around blocking living wages that you promote actually hurt families. So this is a con. And it's been going on a long time. Everybody needs to, it's as old as a slave master who had people who endorsed slavery and found theological ways to do that. Yep. It's as old as those people that challenged Dr. King and said he needed to stop challenging. It's just wrong, and we have to challenge it.
Indeed. Bishop William Barber, always a pleasure to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Blessings. Take care now.
Thank you. And coming up next, new details about Harvey Weinstein's sexual harassment scandal and why he might actually fight to keep his job. More AM Joy after the break.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.